Yes.
We saw each other in New York a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
We ate some food.
We did.
I had
We talked.
breakfast for lunch.
Me too.
You had a flight to catch.
That's right.
You have another flight to catch.
Correct.
So we're going to keep this on time.
Yes, let's go.
Cool. So this conversation is called Stepping into My Power.
Ooh, yes, 'cause
Yeah,
I'm powerful.
so
Yes.
there's no one more qualified than you,
That's right.
except maybe everyone else in this room.
Well, we're all powerful in our own way.
Yeah. And so I like to start at the beginning,
Okay.
because we all start stepping into our power somewhere.
Yes.
And so I want to start at the beginning. Can you tell us about the early stages of your career?
Ooh, yes. So I think the first time I took power over my own destiny was when I graduated from college. I went pre-med to Wesleyan University. My parents are immigrants from Ghana, and they really wanted me to be a doctor, which was fine with me until I realized that I was totally in love with pop culture and the arts. And then I realized, well, I couldn't really do both of those things. And so I made the tough decision to take 1 year, a break, between graduating from college and going to med school to sow my royal oats in New York City.
This is where you do it, right? Who
Exactly.
else is sowing
You
their
know?
oats right now?
And it was really, really great because I got a chance to really create then what was going to be, or is, the rest of my life. And that was the first moment where I really stepped into my own power and felt like I could do what I wanted to do because I wanted to do it, not because somebody else had told me that that was the right thing to do. And it has been, by the way, transformative forever because, you know, my parents love me, right? They want the best for me. My friends love me. They want the best for me. But they don't know what is the best for me. Only I know that. And that's really where my power comes in how I have then been able to navigate my career.
And what's amazing, I mean, you use the word transformative, is that you letting yourself transform has allowed so many of us to transform and continues to. So thank you for being here and for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
So you're the Chief Marketing Officer at Endeavor. Can you
Yes.
tell us what Endeavor is exactly and what your job entails?
Yes. So, well, no, because it's so many things. Okay, so Endeavor,
Three.
yeah,
Pick three.
three big things. Okay, so Endeavor is a media and entertainment company, right? So it is the parent company for WME, which represents a lot of actors and yes,
Not an
and you
actor.
as well,
My
and you
books.
as well, wonderful people,
Yeah.
including Sophia and LeBron and Matt Damon and Charlize Theron and a whole lot of people. IMG, which represents models and fashion designers, puts on New York Fashion Week, all the fashion weeks, etc. The UFC, let's see, Miss Universe, girl, so many things. So as the Chief Marketing Officer, my job is to storytell. It is to create the narrative for each of those individuals and the individual companies, as well as find the connections between them.
So storytelling has been a theme here, and
Yeah.
every great marketer has a slightly different answer to this question, but what are the components of great storytelling?
Ooh, great storytelling requires emotion, like strong emotion. It is the absence of calm.
Provocation.
Yes, you need something to happen. Whether that is the highs of joy or it's the depths of despair, you need all of that in a great story. Storytelling requires focus, because if you start telling one story and then you drift off over here, you drift off over there, all of a sudden you don't know where you are. So it requires focus to tell just one story in a straight line. Those are the most important things, emotion and focus.
And so BuzzFeed called you the coolest person to ever go on stage at an Apple event.
Because I am.
Yeah.
I'm confused as to why that was a headline.
And that was when you keynoted at an Apple event
Yes.
at their Worldwide Developers Conference.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? And how do you bring your whole self to work? And what would your experience, or what would your advice be
Yeah.
to someone who maybe hasn't stepped into their power and who wants to be able to show up, one, just get invited to be on a stage, and two, show up in an outfit like this? No one does.
I know. Well, here's the thing. I don't just wear this kind of outfit on a Sunday afternoon, I wear it on Monday morning, too.
Yeah?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, because my shoulders are cute. They are. I don't know why you're
They
laughing.
are. How many
I'm
people
like,
think
they are
her
cute.
shoulders are cute?
Yeah, shoulders are cute.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting about WWDC, which of course is the stage that Steve Jobs created. You know, he showed up in his black turtleneck, actually kind of similar to this, except no shoulders out and no ruffles. He should have maybe. But anyway, and that stage is meant to communicate, of course, all the innovation and the powerful things that happen at Apple. It's a very important stage. It is what, you know, the stock is made of. It's what sells, you know, in September and in June. And so my job that particular time was to introduce the new interface for Apple Music, which had been in existence for a year at that point, but it was the absolute way that we were going to express, you know, the business for the rest of time. And, you know, there were probably a good 400 engineers that had touched the product, you know, multitudes of marketing folks, lots of product and program managers. I mean, it just represented a lot of hard work, a lot of hours. And so I was the one, you know, who for 6 minutes was going to talk about why every single person on the planet should engage with Apple Music. And as you can imagine, there are ways to do that. You know, you should talk about algorithms. You should talk about, you know, all of the proponents of tech. But I decided, as a storyteller, and essentially what I just said, which is that you need emotion. You know, you need to be able to connect with a consumer and an audience based on emotion. And so I wanted to present it in my own way, which was very, very scary. You know, it was not an easy decision because clearly there are people who've done it for a long time who had their own thoughts about how to do it, and it was not my way. But I tell you something, it's, you know, the only way to succeed is to do it your own way. Again, no one wants you to fail.
Tweet that.
You know, no one wants you to fail. However, they don't know the way that you should do it. And so therefore, I felt it necessary to only do it my way because I knew that was the way that I was going to win. And I did win. I'm the coolest person to ever walk on the Apple stage, so there you have it.
And what did it take to prepare for that? Did you just walk on the stage?
Oh, no, girl, I practiced.
Okay.
Listen, because the thing is that, you know, with great preparation also then comes a success, you know, for everything, and that's across life. You know, it's like if you decide to do something or you want to achieve something, preparing for that eventual happening is actually what's going to make sure you succeed. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's not about just spontaneity and just getting up and just going because, you know, you need to understand what's it going to take, what are the risks, how do I overcome those things. All of that is preparation for then the success. So yes, I practiced for that. You know, the scary thing about that stage is that it's live, so there's no backup, there's no one, you know, in the back trying to manipulate anything. It's whatever's in your hand is what then is shown on stage and to the 19 million people that are watching. So I definitely prepared for it, but I was really excited to be able to showcase all of myself. And I think that was part of the question also, was that,
How?
you know, I wanted to infuse a part of who I am in that presentation. You know, what happens to us in work and, you know, sometimes when you're tasked with talking to a lot of people is that you want to make it work for every single person. You know, and the challenge is that then we cut off the edges and we make it so round that it has there's no life. You know,
texture.
there's nothing to it to connect to. And so to me, it was like, listen, if I'm going to present this and I'm going to present it in my way, which meant that I was going to include, you know, some classic hip hop, Hello Rapper's Delight, you know, original hip hop. I was going to include some Afro beats because, hello, Afro beats, you know, Ghana. And I was going to talk about it in an emotional way. And that's the way I show up. I show up at work that way. I show up with my friends that way. It's important for us to always be ourselves. I know it sounds cliche, but that is the only way that also then we stand out. It's the only way that, you know, we can fall in love with each other. You know, it's if we are showing up as our whole selves. I don't want to fall in love with fakes. You know, so to me, it's like we've got to show up as ourselves, and then that's the way we win.
So this conversation's about stepping into our power, and for some of it's not natural. There's many of us who are introverted. I'm pretty introverted, believe it or not. I ended up on a stage in the cover of a book, and I've got like big sleeves, but it's challenging. It's challenging for a lot of us, and we get a lot of questions about this.
Yeah.
For someone who's early in their career or in their life and exploring what that is, sometimes hearing just be yourself is really challenging. Are there steps you can take
Yeah.
to just literally steps you can take to begin stepping into your power?
Yeah. Well, the first one is self-affirmation. There is not, even today, there is not a morning that I get up where I don't tell myself how dope I am.
You look in the mirror.
Hell
and
yeah, I look
you
at myself
say,
in the mirror. I'm like, girl,
"We're
you're a
gonna win."
bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just, I feel that it requires that kind of, well, for me anyway, I don't know for you, but for me, it requires that kind of aggressive self-affirmation, because what happens is that, for me, again, I'll make it really personal, there are a lot of times when folks try to make me feel like I'm not powerful. When I walk into a room and somebody has a comment about my shoulders, you know what I'm saying? Or they're like, ooh, that hair though. Or it's, that lipstick though. Or whatever, anything, or the idea, anything. Somebody always has something to say. And so if I haven't already affirmed for myself that I'm so dope, then that could easily hurt. And that could easily make me dim the light that I have. And I refuse to do that.
And so, do you respond to those people when they comment? Yeah. What you tolerate is what you become.
That's correct.
It's what you manifest, and if you
Yeah.
don't tolerate it, it does, it's like
Yeah.
you can move beyond it. Everyone's opting in to every job. It's a choice.
Yeah.
No one has to stay in any place that they are. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes we don't realize that. And question, do
Yeah.
you respond if someone comments on your hair, your shoulders, or your lipstick? How do you handle that? That's
Yeah, it depends on the situation, Sometimes people just need to get cut, And then I just leave them bleeding.
How do you cut?
I cut with my words. Sometimes I cut with my eyes. But you know what? Sometimes, and this is the truth of it, even I'm not immune, right? Sometimes it's so shocking, you don't know what to say, and you let the moment slip. And then later on, you're like, I should have said, and you're so mad about not having responded. But I'm not so worried, and this is actually the trick of it. I'm not so worried about what they say to me. I don't dwell on it. I'm only responsible for myself. And so, again, the self-affirmation is what is going to give me the protection. And so I'm not so worried. You can say anything you want to me, but this right here, I know who I am, and there's no way that you're going to penetrate this. So to me, self-affirmation is a really big key to making sure that we're able to be ourselves, and to walk out into the world and have that confidence. And like I said, it's not like you just wake up one day with it, or that it's constant. It takes practice. Some days are better than others. Sometimes I have to do it at night,
Yeah.
to remind myself about whatever happened in that day, and to remind myself that, yes, I am the greatest, that whatever idea I had that day was valuable, that it was good. All of those things. The most important voice is ourselves, So I try to hone that as much as possible.
Yeah, and it's a muscle.
Yeah.
You said hone. It's like, it's a muscle to sit on a stage. It's a
Yeah.
muscle to, advocate for yourself. It's a muscle to show up and be confident and
Yeah.
to take no shit, right?
Yeah.
It's not, very few things are natural.
Yes.
I think, and for some people it is, but for the rest of us, we have to remind ourselves to do it and do it again and do it again. And just like exercise, it gets a little bit easier every day.
Yes, that's
I
right.
I need to exercise. I haven't been exercising. So you've had an incredible career. What do you think the number one driver is of that? Is there a trait that you think
Yeah.
has helped you just kind of cut through and end up in the C-suite?
Ooh. Well, there's a few things. One, I really love my job. I've loved my jobs, even when they have been challenging, even when maybe the people were shitty, even when maybe the project itself was not that great. Like, I really enjoy finding the narrative and executing that. And even when there's the other stuff about the job that you don't want to do, there's always something about it that I really love, and that has been constant for me. I always look for that thing because it's the thing that keeps me motivated and excited, right? But aside from that, I have really tried very hard to make sure that I feel satisfied. So one is the excitement and looking for the thing that I'm excited about every day, but I am, I want to be satisfied in my work. I want to be proud of myself. And I think maybe I keep talking about myself because I really do think it's so important for us to focus on ourselves. We get so distracted by what everyone else thinks or, what the accolades are that you start to measure yourself up against those outside forces. But it's like if we are happy with it and if we feel successful and if we feel satisfied and we feel excited, then we are successful. It doesn't matter then what anyone else thinks or says.
And one thing we've been talking a lot about this weekend is failure.
Yeah.
So I've become the poster child for failure. It's fine, I'll take it. I can't escape it, so I'm going to do something with it. And we all have to do something with it.
Yeah.
And it happens to all of us. What has been like the biggest mistake you've made, and how did you recover from it?
Girl, I make mistakes all the time. Actually, I was just talking about this. I was like, I fail constantly. I really do. And sometimes it's really big and sometimes it's small. But to me, there's no success without the failure. And again, why that may sound cliche, it's like I go looking for it. If I haven't done enough to make me trip and fall, then I'm not moving fast enough. And I find that every time that I push myself really hard, I'm bound to fall down. Now, what has happened is that my recovery is much better. That like I have fallen, but I am able to get up and brush my knees off and keep going much faster than when I was younger. But again, that takes practice. So it's not that I'm afraid of it, because I'm still scared. I still do things, when they say like, do it scared, like you should just do it scared. Go for it anyway, fail fast, and then get up and recover. Because for me, again, it's like if I'm not doing that, then I'm not taking big enough risks. I don't want to live in a safe space. I don't want to be just chilling, comfortable. The only way that I'm going to be great is if I am pushing farther and pushing harder. And with that means that sometimes there's going to be a cliff at the end of that and I'm going to fall over. But guess what? I'm going to fall, and then guess what?
You're going to build a plane on the way down.
Girl, I don't have time for planes. I'm going to fall down and get back up.
So we have time for a few questions from the audience.
Oh, great, good.
Okay, we got a hand right here. There you go.
Hello.
I was listening on the podcast that you did with Sophia, how to communicate with a direct report and with your upper management, but you didn't mention about your daughter, and that's what I'm most interested in. So
Okay.
You were talking about how do you manage up, and how are you direct, and
Yeah.
how do you express your point? And I find difficulty in a teenager.
Okay. Well, so here's the thing is that I do try to communicate as directly as possible, but that's also my personality in that I don't like for people to mince words with me, and so I try not to do that to other people. That a lot of times, even the most difficult conversations are done best when you just know the information. Don't you hate it when somebody's like, oh, I got something to tell you, and this is hard for me to say. Bitch, just say it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why are we wasting time? So to me, I'm like, I just want, sorry, was that aggressive? It was really aggressive. I told you, that's just the way
okay.
I am. But I just like direct conversation. So even with my boss, when there is something that either is hindering me from doing whatever I've been tasked to do, and sometimes those are really tough conversations because, you got to be careful because people's egos sometimes get in the way. But I find that the most success has come when I've been very direct about it, right? Never complaining, because that doesn't get me anywhere. Usually solution-oriented, where I'm like, okay, this is what I need, or this is what's happening, this is what I need, and that's how I'm going to get it done. Finish. And I do that to my daughter, too. It's like whenever we have challenges, I'm as direct with her as I am with my boss. Well, sometimes she's the boss.
Any questions? Any other guy? I think we have time for one more. Right here. Introduce yourself.
So my name is Bianca. I'm from Minnesota. So you've had an incredible career, and I just want to know what you do to stand out in the interviews to get in the positions that you've gotten to be in.
What have I done in the interviews?
Yeah,
Stand
to make
out.
yourself really stand out and show
Yeah.
them that you're the one for the job.
Okay, so this is a really important one, right? Because I think a lot of times a job is won before the interview. You know, that my reputation is what is getting me through. And reputation, by the way, even happens when you're a junior. You know, it doesn't just happen after you've collected the accolades. Especially now with social media, I find it to be such a powerful tool. You know, that you can actually create your brand yourself. That what is it that you want to show to the world? By the way, it shouldn't be fake, because again, that will just get you in trouble, because you're going to show up at the job, they're going to be like, well, we wanted the other one. You know what I'm saying? You're like, who the hell are you? So for me, there's a couple of things. It's like, one, I want to make sure that I'm building my brand and my reputation in a way that's going to get me a lot of points before I even walk in the room. And then next, I do want to be unique. You know, showing up with the right credentials is only halfway to the end. You know, what is going to be unique about you? And again, those edges are actually what's most interesting. When I'm now interviewing and trying to hire, I'm looking for really interesting people. You know, it's like having the qualifications for the job is just going to get you in the door. You know, getting you into the actual seat is going to require that there is something interesting about you that I don't yet know. And so what is that? How are you coming up with that? You know, what are the experiences that you've done? Maybe you like knitting sweaters for cats. Let's talk about that. You know? So sometimes we think that the, you know, activities that we have in our lives that don't pertain to the job aren't going to get us a job. I guarantee you they probably will. Yeah.
And also, I think coming through someone's network, you know, we've hired really great people who have been forwarded to us through WME even, who have been so generous to say, this person's amazing.
Yeah.
I think you should maybe give her a try. And it's amazing when employers are generous enough to say, like, I care about this person's career. They work for me right now, but I think this would be a perfect role for them.
And actually, I have one more thing to build on that, because this is really important for all of us in this room. You know, now in the seats I've been in and the seat I occupy now, I have a great network of friends who are very senior level at so many places. The only reason I have those friends is because we came up together. You know, the only reason why I'm able to like call up the other CMOs is because we've already been in the trenches. You know, we've been in the trenches together. And so it's like now there are so many powerful people who are in my network that I can create lots of big things with. You know, and as you sit here now and as you go through your career and your life, understanding that connection with those that are at your side is more important than anyone who's above you. Honestly, it's like once you're achieving and you have that network and you're climbing up together, once you get to the so-called top, you have some friends that will never let you down. And that's really, really important to success.
Yeah, and start early. I mean, the person I'm talking about was an assistant at WME, and also, by the way, if you're really early in your career, I'm not like a recruiter for WME, but I mean, there's places like WME that just have incredible training. Like anybody who's been an assistant there knows how to work, is extremely professional. So there's employers like that if you're really early in your career that can kind of help train you.
Yeah.
We're out of time.
No!
You got a flight to catch.
I'm
so
not leaving.
She's a busy lady. She's a very busy lady.
I'm just gonna sit up here with my legs up.
Okay, should we?
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rose.
I'm so glad
Thank
to
you
Thank
so
you
much.
guys.